So you want to be a game developer and you decided to start with Roblox Studio. Well, this video is going to be a good introduction to Roblox Studio and will give you the foundation you need to start building. We're going to start with where to get Roblox Studio and how to install it. Next, we'll go over the UI and point out the key different areas. Finally, we'll focus in on the home ribbon that contains the most commonly used tools. I'll dive into each tool and show you how to use it. Down in the description, you will find a link to an article on MassFaction.com that contains a companion article that goes along with this video. All right, let's jump into it. Okay, so the first thing you're going to need is obviously a Roblox account. So once you have your Roblox account set up, and most likely you already do, if you already can log in and play Roblox games, you'll already have an account. But to start creating experiences on Roblox, what you're going to need is a Roblox Studio. So to get that, what we need to do is, I'm at roblox.com here now, but we actually want to go to roblox.com/create. All right, and that's actually going to redirect us to create.roblox.com. So you could also just go to create.roblox.com if we're comfortable doing that. And we're going to click on Start Creating here. So I'm going to click on Start Creating. And it's going to check to see if I have Roblox Studio installed. And I currently do not. So it's going to say Download Studio. So I'm going to click on Download Studio. All right, and now it's currently downloading here. So this is just on Chrome on Windows. It could be slightly a little different on yours, but basically when you download something through your browser, it's going to be the similar concept when you do that for other types of things you're downloading. So that's now been completed. I'm going to go up to Downloads here, and I'm going to go and click on this here. All right, I'm just going to double click on the installer here to start it. And that's going to start the installation process here. Okay, so now once it's finished installing here, if you have an account all set up, you should be good to go and you should be able to just log in. So you're going to log in with the same account you would use Roblox with. So I'm just going to do that now. Okay, so once you log in to Roblox Studio, you're presented with this screen here. This is kind of like the home screen here. So just kind of see, it will kind of show you already had some recent experiences that you're working on. I have some here that I've been playing around with, just testing things out. You have the templates below that there. So the primary template we'll be working with is the base plate templates. It's a clean starter template. So we'll be going into that shortly. And then there's a couple other things here. Creating new experience. Also do that just by clicking on this base plate template here. So that's what we're going to do. We have this open here. So we're just going to click on base plate template. So this here is kind of like the 3D viewport. So Roblox is a 3D game. So there's 3 different axes here. In the top right-hand corner here, you'll have the view selector. So it shows on the view selector the different axes of green for Y, red for X, and then blue for Z. You can also click on that view selector to change orientation. So I can click on here, get a top view, click on these little arrow things here, back to the front view here. All right, so let's just go look at the top of the UI here. So at the top, you have various different ribbons. So you'll see there's a home ribbon here, the model ribbon, avatar, test, view, and plugin. So each of those ribbons, you click on that, you get various different selections and tools you can use to manipulate and do things within Roblox Studio. You got the ones for the avatar here. You got ones for testing, running your game, and debugging and testing your game. View one here, opening up various different dialogues that can be docked and things like that. And plugins, so when you install some plugins, so I have some plugins installed here, so you probably do not have some of the things I have here because I have some extra plugins installed. This kind of gives you extra functionality to do some things within Roblox Studio a little easier, or access, for example, information in data stores, things like that. All right, so we are going to go over in this initial kind of tutorial just kind of most of the items in the home ribbon, but before we do that, let's go over and look at the right-hand side, and you'll see you have the Explorer. So Explorer kind of is all the stuff that's in your game. So in the Explorer, you have all these kind of top-level things in your game, which are called services. So you have the workspace, which is kind of everything is in the workspace within your game. Player service, things related to your players, and a bunch of other different types of things that we'll get into in more detail in future tutorials. So if you go below the Explorer, depending on, you have the properties. So it's going to display the properties for whatever you currently have selected in your Explorer. So this is a properties for the workspace. So if I click on player, we're now going to see the properties for the player. For everything you click on in the Explorer, you're going to have a large list of properties. So you might have to go through and scroll to find that property you're looking for something, or if you know what you're looking for example, it has gravity here, I can just go and click on here and start typing in the property, and it'll just kind of filter down to that. So you can easily access that property and make the adjustment you want to make. All right, so let's now look at the bottom. So at the bottom of the window we have open here is the output window. So this is just going to give you some feedback. Say if you're working on developing your game and you have a bug in your game, it's going to probably give you some information about that bug, or you may be making print statements within your scripts that will print out here to help you kind of see what's happening while you're working on your scripts and trying to figure out what you need to do when developing your game. So all these things we'll be getting to in more detail later on in other future tutorials. We're just kind of giving you a good overview of how things kind of lay out here. And so you get a good general understanding when you start to when you open up Roblox Studio, so you can kind of just start getting into things, start understanding things, start playing around with things, and start building things. Okay, now let's draw our attention now to the center at the 3D viewport here. So if I you get your mouse in here, you kind of click your little center mouse button, yes, on my mouse here. You can kind of grab and you kind of pull things around. I can scroll the mouse to kind of zoom in and out. I can right click and kind of tilt things around there and zoom out. So if I go back over to the Explorer and click the little thing here and expand that, we can click on that and open that up. And you'll see right here where it says spawn location. So I click on that. So now we have this highlighted kind of in blue. This is now selected. So this is the spawn location. And you'll notice that everything is kind of in a hierarchy here. So you'll see that the spawn location is inside the workspace. The spawn location itself actually click on that, has a decal inside the spawn location. So you can structure things and kind of organize things in your Explorer just by grouping things and having things will be inside other things. All right, so you'll also notice this big giant area here. This is called the base plate. So that's also within the workspace. So click on that. That's now selected here. So the whole base plate is selected. All right, so let's bring our attention back up to the home ribbon. We're going to look at these first set of tools we have. So we have a select tool, we got a move tool, we got a scale tool, and we got a rotate tool. And you notice when I hover over here, it has a little kind of select, and in brackets it has 1. So if you want to toggle between these various different tools, you can just click the number on your keyboard to access that tool without actually having to move your mouse all the way up to here and clicking on the tool itself. For some people, they have it set up where they have to control and then the number. For myself, I just have to click the number itself. So now if I click on 2, you'll see move is selected. Click on 3, scale is selected. Click on 4, rotate is selected. And if I click on 1, we're back to the select tool. So we don't have much to select yet in our world. So we're going to move over to the right now a little bit. And we're just going to go and you'll see there's this parts selection here where we can actually insert parts. So we're just going to insert a block. So I just click on block. And now we have a new part that is now been added to our workspace. And we can see it in the 3D viewport here. It's kind of just appeared right next to our spawn location. So I have that selected right now. You can see it's already selected in blue here. I'm just going to zoom in a bit so we can get a little closer view on that. I'm going to click on 2 to move over to move. So now that we got the part selected and we now have the move tool selected, you'll notice now that we have these different arrows, colored arrows that appear around the part. So the first arrow, you'll see the green one here. So this represents the y-axis, and the red represents the x-axis, and then we have the blue to represent the z-axis. So very simply now, if you want to move the part, all we need to do is click on these arrows. Just click on the arrow here, and I can just drag up, and the part lifts up. Unselect, say I want to move it over to the left a bit here. I'm going to click on the red, drag it over. Pretty simple, so you can just move things around relatively easily here. All right, now let's flip over to the next tool, we're going to flip over to the scale tool. So I'm click on 3. Now I have these little circles. So similar idea. If we're not actually going to move the part, we're going to change the size of the part by scaling the part. So we're going to click on the red circle here. We're going to drag across, and you can see this number here is representing its increase in size on that axis. And let's make it a little taller. So we want this to be like a wall. So we want to grab on the green one. We're going to drag it up here. Pretty straightforward. And we're going to make it a little thicker. So we're going to grab on the blue one here. Let's drag it out. So pretty simple. Like you can move things, scale things. All right. And the final tool we're going to kind of look at here is the rotate tool. So I'm going to click on 4, or you can just go up here and click on with your mouse. No problem. And then now we have this circular representation of the various axes on how you can rotate this object. So if I want to rotate it on the y-axis, I grab onto the green circle and then just kind of start moving my mouse here, and it'll rotate there. So I rotated now 90 degrees. Let's say we want to tilt it over a bit here. So I'm going to grab on the x-axis, the red circle, and let's just pull down. We're going to rotate it that way in 90 degrees. There we go. So now we got our box here, and it's kind of just been rotated. It's been changed. The size been adjusted. It's a little bigger now. Okay, so we kind of got a boring part here. It's just kind of a gray part. So let's actually look at the next we're going to look at here is the color. So we go back up to the ribbon here, and a little more right from the part, we got color. So now I can just click on that, and we can now change the color of the part. So say I want this part to be, let's just make it like a red part here. And now then if we actually look to the right of the color, the material. So you can go now and adjust the material. So material is things like a brick, things like that. So if you look at a wall, you got like a wood or a brick or a tile. And so they'll change the appearance of the object. So let's just make it a tile. Or let's see what else we got here. All right, so I scrolled down and there's this pebble material. So I'm just gonna click on that and apply that pebble material to this block. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out now. So I'm just gonna scroll my mouse button here. So just gonna zoom out so we can see a little more kind of area here. We have a little more to work with. And let's just drag this ahead here. And I'm gonna rotate this so it's like this. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I wanna have a few copies of these blocks. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to duplicate this. So I'm just going to teach you a little shortcut here. So the first shortcut we're going to work with is hold down the Control and click on D. So we're going to do that right now. Hold down Control, click D, and now we've duplicated the part. So we look over into our Explorer. When we added the first part, I don't know if you already noticed, but that part was added to the workspace and it was visible in the Explorer. So now that we duplicated, we actually have another part which is duplicated. It's occupying the same space. So we have it selected here in the Explorer. So I'm just going to click on this little blue arrow here so we can move it over here. So move it over. So now we have two identical blocks, one that we've duplicated into another one. So now we have two blocks here, both represented in the Explorer. All right, so now I just repositioned the 3D viewport. So it's going to have a front-facing view of these two blocks that we've put down here. And I want to bring your attention back up to the ribbon panel here. We're going to notice right next to these tools here, the select, move, scale, and rotate, we have a couple checkboxes here. So we have a checkbox for collisions. We have a checkbox for join surfaces. We're going to kind of go into the details of those. So what we're going to do is we're going to click off the collisions checkbox here, right? I'm going to select this. We're going to try to move this block towards this block. So we're going to go select the move tool. And now I'm going to move over. And you'll notice here, I'm moving it over. I can actually push through this anymore. It's colliding into this because we now have the collisions, and we have collisions checked off. So this is kind of great if you're trying to line two parts up, right one beside each other. You want to have the collisions checkbox checked off, because if you do not, I'll show you now. So now we'll uncheck collisions. So with collisions unchecked, the parts can overlap each other. So if you're trying to line things up and you don't want to have any overlap between the two parts, which can be a little problematic, it's best to have collisions checked off there. So that will help you out quite a bit. All right, so now I separated the two blocks again. So the next checkbox right below collisions is the join surfaces checkbox. So I'm going to click on that to select join surfaces. So what join surfaces is going to do, once any two parts that touch each other are then going to join together with what's called a weld. So we're going to click on this part here, and I'm going to drag it into this one until it touches. All right, so now you see it touches, kind of has like a little bit of a darker, kind of thicker line between the two. So that represents the weld. So now I'll let go. And let's go over to the Explorer, and you'll know that this part, when it touched the other part, a weld was added. So if we actually expand that, you can see the weld in the Explorer. All right, so now that we have the two parts welded together, we use that join surface checkbox to weld the two parts together. Now we're going to look at the mode drop-down list, which is above collision and join surfaces, where it says geometric, and you click on there, it has physical. So a weld is like something that's physical in the game. It welds the two parts together. So when the game is running, those two parts cannot come apart because they're welded together. So if the game is not running, I'm in the kind of the development view here, and I have physical selected as a mode, and now I try to move these parts, they're going to move together like as they would within the game because they're welded together. But if I turn that off and I go back to the standard geometric, and I pull in the part, and I pull in the part, it's going to pull apart. It's not going to stay together like it would when the game is running. Okay, so the next thing we want to look at in the ribbon here is we're going to go way over to the right, and you'll see right next to material, there's a few different things there. And on the bottom of that list of things there's something called anchor. So what we're going to do is we have this part selected. So if I don't have a part selected, that's kind of grayed out. But now I select the part. It's an option. So I can anchor the selected part. So what I'm going to do is I'm click on anchor. And what that means now is that part is anchored in position. So if I ran the game and the part was not anchored, so it's not actually on the base plate there, so it would fall to the ground because... So normally physics will pull things down to the ground and things will fall. But if you anchor something, it's stuck in position. It's anchored in that spot and it cannot fall. And that goes along with the physical mode that we have already talked about already. So now it's anchored. I cannot actually pull this down either because when the game is running, I would not be able to move that down. So if we have physical mode selected, I cannot move that around. But then again, if I move it to geometric mode, I can start moving things up and down again because... So the geometric mode gives you more freedom when you're actually working within the development mode to kind of move things around, and you're not kind of stuck. Things are stuck in place. But it's kind of good if you have something anchored in your game. You may not want to move that around when or accidentally start moving that because you anchored it for a reason. So you kind of want to keep it in place. So that's going to go into the next thing that is right next to the anchor, right above the anchor, is the lock tool. So we got this part selected again, and we're going to go up to the lock tool, and we can select the lock tool, and then we can click on this part, and you'll see now it has the X representing that part is now locked. So if I go and click on select now, I cannot select that part. That part is locked, so it cannot be selected. I don't want to move that part. I don't want to come back here, accidentally select and move it. So I have it locked, so it cannot be moved. The part that's welded right next to it to the right, I can select because it is not locked. So also part of the lock tool, if you want to unlock all, you want to have to go around kind of unlocking things individually. It has the ability to unlock all. So we're going to click on that now, and I should be able to click on this now because it should not be locked anymore. All right, so now I'm going to hold down Shift so I can select both of these. Click on the select tool. I'm going to select both of these. I'm actually going to delete these because I'm going to set up to show you some things in the game with some different blocks here that kind of are better represented for what we want to show. Okay, so since I have the two blocks selected, I can click delete on the keyboard and it will delete both the blocks. Okay, so I have these 3 blue blocks here that I put on the screen now, and I have them all touching together, but I have not selected the join surfaces checkbox here. So they are not welded together. So now what I do is click on the play button here, which is in the ribbon as well, which is going to start the game up. And we're going to see what's happened, that we have these blocks here. They're floating above the ground, but they're not joined together when they're not anchored also. So let's click on play. As they all fall to the ground, they all fall apart. They're not stuck together, right? Because they're not stuck. They're not welded together, right? So now we're going to stop the game, and it'll kind of reset where we left things off, where we have things put together. And now we're going to join these together, right? So I'm just going to grab this here. I'm just going to move it up here and move it down. So now it's got that weld. You can see it created the weld in the Explorer. And we're going to do the same thing with the bottom block here, bottom part. So I'm just going to select that. Move it down, move it back up. It's going to get the weld also. So now they're all welded together. All right, so now we're going to click play. And now they all still fall, but they all stay together because they have their welds holding those parts tightly together. They cannot come apart. All right, and yeah, so we got our character here as well. So you can just kind of walk around here. You can look at the parts. You can push into them. And it kind of walks through them, but yeah, they're all stuck together. You can see they're kind of moving together and kind of bumps into them there. Yeah, so that's how the weld works. That's how the join surfaces work. So now we click stop. All right, so now we have these 3 blocks together, but we don't want them to fall. We want it to float in the air. So what we can do now, let's select this bottom one here, and we're going to anchor this bottom part. So we'll go up here, click on anchor, and now if we click play, look at that. They stay in the position that they were originally put in there. So they cannot fall down. They're anchored in the sky. All right, so now I'm going to unselect join surfaces. I'm going to move these blocks apart here. All right, so we got the welds are all gone. There's no more welds now. So what we're going to do, we're just going to put them back in the position that they were in. All right, so we got the parts in the position they're in, but they have no welds this time because join surface is not selected. So we're going to click on here, and we're going to anchor this bottom one. So the bottom one is now anchored, but these ones are not anchored, and they're not welded together. All right, so the one that was anchored stayed up there, but the other pieces just kind of fell off because they're not anchored. There's nothing holding them up there. They're just going to fall to the ground. Okay, so back at the ribbon again with the home ribbon, we covered the select, we covered the move, we covered scale, we covered rotate, we've covered collisions, and we covered join surfaces, we covered geometric, and we covered physical. So there's a few other things in the home menu that we haven't went over yet. Okay, so we have the terrain editor up here, but we're not going to cover that in this video. Right next to the terrain editor, you have the toolbox. So you click on that toolbox. This is where you can see things within your inventory. You can get free models from the creator store. Also, what I have to do is find the model. You can drag it into your view here. Let go. So now we have this car model here. This is kind of an important thing that comes up. You want to be careful when you're getting free models from the creator store because they can contain scripts and you don't know what those scripts does. So you want to be kind of careful that you're not having some malicious script that's kind of being pulled into your project. So you want to watch out for that. So I'm just going to cancel for now. I don't need a car. All right, next to the toolbox, you got parts. We've brought a few blocks into the 3D view already. There is spheres you can bring. You can bring wedges, corner wedges, cylinders, of the different shapes you can use to kind of construct things and build things in Roblox Studio. Next to that, you have UI. We're not covering UI in this tutorial, but that's like you want UI to pop on the screen for menus, to display information to the user. Lots of different things you can do with UI. Buttons, we'll cover that another time. So next to the UI, we got import 3D files. So yes, you can build things in Roblox Studio. You can use the parts in here, and you can put them together, and you can construct objects, construct a house, construct a vehicle, but you're kind of limited in what you can do within Roblox Studio. But there's other third-party tools, 3D modeling tools, where you can build complex models, add materials to them, and make them look really, really amazing and really, really detailed. So what you can do is you can build your 3D models in a tool like Blender, and then you can import them into Roblox Studio and use them in Roblox Studio and have these fancy, really elaborate parts that you've built in other 3D modeling tools that are much more powerful for building the different parts than Roblox Studio itself. Right, so we covered the color, we covered the material, we covered lock tools, we covered anchor. To finish up this first tutorial, just so we have everything covered that's in the home ribbon panel that you kind of need to know about here. So groups is actually quite important. So you can either group things as models or you can group them in a folder. So when you group them as a model, what you're going to do is you're actually going to combine them together into a model. So when you're kind of dragging that part around, they're all kind of together as one giant model. So to keep them together, you have to individually move them by themselves or select them all together. If you select the whole model, you can move the model as well. So let's kind of demonstrate. I'm just going to add a few blocks. That's fine. So I got a block and a sphere, I guess. I must have clicked on the sphere. No problem. So we have this block and we have this sphere here. So if I click on here to move the sphere, it moves independently of the block. So when I move the sphere, the block does not move. So I can group these, hold shift select both of them. I got 3. So I got 2 blocks, there's 2 blocks and a sphere. Okay. So I have all 3 selected. I'm going to click on here. We're going to go group as folders. Also the shortcut, Control Alt G, you can see. So I'm going to click here, and now they're grouped into a folder. So we go over to the Explorer, and you see the folder here, and you click on that little arrow next to the folder, and it'll expand that. You can see we have the 3 parts here. We have the bottom block, we have the middle block, and then we have the sphere, the top sphere. They're all grouped together in a folder, but still, they're not a model. So they're not going to move together. So if I click on the sphere, and I try moving the sphere, it's going to move independently of itself. So let's just Control Z to undo that. And this time we're going to group it as a model. So I'm going to make sure they're all selected. And click on group. And this time I'm going to group as a model. So now you go back over to your Explorer and you look. Now it's a model. It has this little indicator to indicate that it's a model. And the same thing, you can click on here and you can see the 3 parts. But now, when I select off of it, if I select on it, we're selecting the whole thing. We're selecting the model. So we can actually move the entire thing together, which is quite powerful. So then if I duplicate this as well, we're duplicating the entire model. So I'm going to go Control D. So you want to duplicate, Control D to duplicate. And we have a second one here. So we have another model. All right, so then same thing. So now if we're going to scale this here, you're scaling the whole thing. You're scaling the model, not the individual parts. So let's just scale this up. All right, scale it up here. All right, so you build a whole house. You have a bunch of walls, roof pieces, windows, doors. You group it all as a model. And then you can kind of just manipulate that house, move it around together as a model. So it's quite powerful to put things into models, so they're easier to work with. All right, so I think that's it. We kind of covered the installation of Roblox Studio. We kind of looked at the UI. We talked about the Explorer. We talked about the output window. We talked about the ribbon panel, primarily the home ribbon panel, and went through almost everything in the home ribbon panel. So I hope you have a good idea how that all works. So there will be a link to the description in the video to an article on MassFaction.com that will be related to this video. It'll kind of have the step-by-steps of what we did in the video and some additional information. So if you need any additional help, it's great to go into the description, click on that link, and the video will be there kind of embedded on the article, and you'll also have some additional details below that can be quite helpful with some pictures and screenshots and things like that. So feel free to do that to get a little extra information. And then we'll be moving on to more things. We're probably doing some more building and some more advanced stuff in our next tutorial. So watch out for the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.